Yeah.
Well, you also recently got into a bit of a Twitter thing with Donald Trump Jr.
Oh, my.
A lot of people are, of course, frustrated by Trump's reaction to the terror attack here in New York. But you said recently via tweet that Trump and his family have done more damage to America than bin Laden and ISIS combined.
Yes.
Do you believe that?
Yeah, we did really well after 9/11. I don't think the country has given itself enough credit for what we did not do after 9/11. We did not restrict all of the freedoms in this country. We did not single out people. We did not destroy the fabric.
3,000 people died on 9/11.
Yes.
I mean, the comparison is absurd.
Well, do you mean the time after?
But more people died in the Iraq War than died in 9/11, and we didn't need to be there.
You think that bin Laden did less to damage America than President Trump?
Yes.
Can I tell you something? When I hear rhetoric that, I think Whoopi and I are in agreement that we want Americans to come together. And rhetoric like that is so damaging. And by the way, my brother fought in the Iraq War and deployed numerous times. So before we start tit for tatting, there's a lot of service in my family.
Yes.
So I don't understand when you're saying things like that. Bin Laden was dedicated to the destruction of everything that we hold dear in our freedom. So when you
Perhaps
compare
some people
it to
think
that,
Trump is dedicated to the destruction
I believe I'm asking
of
Keith the question. I believe I'm asking Keith.
Well, actually, it was my question.
Okay, so what's your answer?
So somebody asked Dan.
Right, what's the question?
The question is,
my question was, do you honestly believe that?
why is you're making you're saying that going into Iraq was worse than what bin Laden did on 9/11, is what you said, and that's
you
what
believe
ticked her
that?
off.
Yeah.
I do, and it's not about disrespecting the troops in the slightest, or the servicemen, or your father's service,
I'm
which
not saying-
astounds me to this day that he was able to do that, and his service to this country right now astounds me, and I applaud him. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying the Iraq War was a waste of these people's lives, and it was unnecessary.
From your perspective.
Well, I think history suggests that the two things didn't have anything to do with one another.
How do people like us find common ground? Because I'm not interested in this sort of because we disagree vehemently on our outlook on the world, and I'm so tired of this kind of rhetoric, and I'm tired of it on the right as well. I'm exhausted with it. I think most Americans can. Do you want President Trump to fail? Do you want America to fail? Because I'm genuinely curious.
Stay tuned for the answer.
Oh, no.
When we come back, and we are back with Keith Olbermann. So, Keith, before we go on to another subject, how do we achieve this kumbaya that we're so craving at the table today?
All right, we'll start with something. You said, where can our common ground be? Let me start by something you'll probably find hard to believe. It was true up until one thing that he did, and it's still been true in the background
when
since.
When you say he, say his name.
I'm getting to it.
All right.
I'm doing this. You did the whole drama bit where his answer after this commercial. Let me do a little of that, too.
Right. Teasing. Oh, I see. All right.
My favorite person in politics, in American politics in the 21st century is your father.
Well,
okay?
I appreciate that.
But what I'm saying is, in retrospect, based on what we've seen in the last 2 years in this country, I owe him an apology.
Oh.
I probably owe George W. Bush an apology.
Shut up.
And I would happily take a third term of George W. Bush rather than this. That's how serious I think it is. And I'll add this. This is the other bit of common ground. If what I want, which is not to have Donald Trump as the president, means Mike Pence is the president. All the policies will be the same. In fact, more of them will probably be enacted because there'll be less of this friction that is always around Trump and diversions and distractions and meaningless arguments.
Yeah, but he won't get more. Yeah, but Pence won't get reelected. He's so boring.
All the things that are supposed to be done. Wouldn't you like a boring president for even 3 weeks right now?
Not with those policies, no.
My point is,
no.
Those policies are going to happen one way or the other. My argument is not about the politics or the policies. It's about I don't think the guy is stable. And I don't care if and he said to me he was a liberal Democrat the last time I talked to him in the flesh, Trump. So I don't care if that's true. So my point is my attitude towards this administration is we're stuck with it, or I'm stuck with it from my point of view, no matter what happens going forward for at least 4 years. Okay? I'm accepting that. I'll take President Pence. I'll carry him to the White House on my shoulders.
Thank you for the apology to me and the Bushes. I think it is actually greatly appreciated. You and I are both out of cable news now, and I do think conversations like this are a lot more productive.
You're as happy as I am that we're out of cable.
Yeah, I'm very happy to a person.
My hair got darker.
But you said you would go out of politics. You're exhausted. We were talking in the commercial break. I'm exhausted with it. It exhausts me all day long, and that's another common ground. You're also exhausted with it.
Yes, I think everybody would be. My point was serious. I'd be very happy with.
Just before we go, we have to go. We're out of time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I want to ask you, just as we go out, why is he crazy? Tell the audience why you think he's crazy.
Joy's been waiting for this.
It's the title of the book. It's the title of the bleeping book.
All right, frankly, it's this. Every time I ever saw him, I thought I was dealing with Eddie Haskell. He would call, oh, Mr. Olbermann, how are you doing in the apartment? You know, you're having or see him at NBC.
Yeah.
Absolutely solicitous, nice man. The conversation was always about me. So I now am telling the fact that after the campaign started, I'm on Bill Maher's show, our friend who I went to college with, and I'm on his show and I'm revealing that I got conned by this because there's clearly at least two personalities. And I'm thinking, oh my God, Bill is going to kill me for saying this because his BS detector is way higher than mine.
Yeah.
So I'm now saying this and going, you're just shut up and let him destroy you. And I shut up and he goes, basically, golly, that's exactly the way I feel about him. And I went, oh, this isn't just a good BS artist. This has to be clinical because this multiple personality thing fooled Bill Maher.
Yeah.
That was my first indication of it. And then I did a piece where I took an actual triage test for being a psychopath and applied it to him. He scored very high.
Very high.
Oh,
okay.
Dr. Olbermann.
Dr. Olbermann. Keith Olbermann.
I tried.
Trump is bleeping crazy. What's the tagline?
This is not a joke.
Well,
we know that's
It's
true.
available now in our entire